The E4 air is one that can be complicated. The other three that we've discussed are not so much, it's simple sensor replacements. E4 has a couple things to check for, first of all. The E4 is equal to low pressure, so it's low pressure of the refrigeration system. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that there's low pressure in the system. So a lot of times we might have a customer that, gets an E4 air and, the panic of thinking that the system might be low on charge. No, that's not necessarily the case. The first thing we want to check with the E4 is your fan operating? Do you have airflow? The fan, if the fan for whatever reason was not operating, you have no airflow going across it, you could also get an E4 trip or an E4 air. So this is actually the low pressure switch. This will trip or open its setting if we're in a position where the pressure was too low. This switch is going to open. That's what gives it the signal back to the control board, and then you'll see the E4 air on the display. With the pressure switch itself, it's also possible that could be faulty and it might be prematurely tripping when it's not supposed to be. It's going off on a low pressure fault even though the system has no low pressure at all. Usually to do that, we're able to just either put jumpers on the switch, or we would just connect these two wires together with the terminal strip so that this is bypassed, and we're continuing the continuity through the control board to take the pressure switch out of the equation. Now, if we were in a situation where we bypassed the pressure switch and we still had an E4 air, then we would likely have an issue with the control board. So something would be wrong with the control board if we were in a position where we bypassed that and we're still showing an E4 air. But the easiest way to find out if it's the switch or the board, we would just bypass that and we would make sure that wasn't the case. The low pressure switch, the easiest way to be able to confirm if it's the low pressure switch itself is potentially, we have seen where a pressure switch might prematurely trip. There's no low pressure situation in the refrigeration system, but the switch itself is just prematurely tripping, creating the fault. So to identify if that's the case, we usually can just jump out the low pressure switch. Jumping out the low pressure switch, and if the problem still exists, then we know it's coming from the control board. If we bypass it and the problem goes away, we know it's either related to that low pressure switch, or we might potentially have a low pressure, low refrigeration system. So if we determine that the system is low pressure, there's a low refrigeration system, usually just contact your Cannadri representative or technical support, and we're gonna talk to you, and whatever's necessary to get you up and going as soon as possible is what we're gonna do. So that's pretty much it when it comes to low pressure and E4 air.